another episode of Live and Rock. That's right, the show for creative souls.
Most artists cannot be comfortable stuck in one box. That's right.
And that's what this podcast is about. It's not just filmmaking, but creative pursuits in general.
The creative life, whether it's music, whether it's writing, whether it's painting, illustrating,
photography,
dancing, whatever it is.
Make some noise, rock the world before your time runs out. Let them know what you're about and just make some noise. Rock the world, no matter what your game. Make sure the whole world remembers your name. Make some noise, rock the world before my time runs out. You know what I'm about, I'ma make some noise, rock the world.
Yes, sirree, Bobs.
Yes, indeed.
We are back in the mix.
It is Live and Rock.
Rocking live.
The creative show for creative souls, giving
that's
insight
right.
to the creative life. I am the world's one and only CDH Live.
And of course, I am the only one, Shell Rock.
That's right. We have a very interesting episode up ahead, focusing on facing failure, dealing with disappointment.
Yeah.
And I think
creative disappointment and creative failure specifically, especially
yes,
for those of you who are new to the show, because it's all about giving insight to the creative life and the journey of the independent artist, regardless of your medium, your genre, music, film, writing, arts and crafts.
And this episode, I think, is going to be full of surprises, and it's gonna be quite interesting to see the response afterwards.
Yeah, for sure. But before we even get into that, real quick, before we get into all of that, I want to give a quick shout out to a couple of people. Really, when I say a couple of people, it's just one specific person I want to make sure right off the top. My girl J Star, I have to shout you out. You gave us props on the last episode with Mr. Frederick Lamone. And on a reel, you've been listening on a download, so a little bit on the download. She's been listening hardcore to a lot of our episodes. I first put her onto the Nashville versus Empire, and I never thought she listened to anything ever since. But apparently, I was mistaken, so I got to give shouts to my girl J Star.
And big welcome back to Milo Flex. It's nice to see you back in the mix.
True. That's right. Yo, there's so much people who want to give love to every day and every episode, but you know what? It's just good to be back on another episode. It's been a while since we recorded, and I just want to get into it. So this episode is all about facing creative failure and bouncing through that. But before we get into it, let's talk about some stuff that you're feeling in pop culture right now. Get into some pop talk. And actually, you know what? What?
Yeah.
What were you
No, go ahead.
We're going to get into some pop talk, but maybe we should just take a quick, as we usually take a quick TV timeout, catch our breath, then come back, get into the pop talk as we warm up for this episode of Live and Rock, Rockin' Live. It's number 14, yo.
It is 14.
Yeah. The numbers are getting higher, and I'm getting higher with excitement and just, we're back on iTunes.
Yeah,
we were
finally,
off iTunes
that is
for
a
while.
good thing. It is a good thing. It felt really nice to finally see Live and Rock up to date on iTunes. So I could just, download my episodes and listen to it.
That's right.
Yeah.
And more people can discover us. We can extend the audience and,
Yes, indeed.
The fact when that Live and Rock was off iTunes for a while, that was a creative setback for us and a creative minor failure. So that's one of the reasons why we came up with this topic today. We're talking about getting back on iTunes now, and we're excited about it, but we got through that failure, but we have a lot of other failures and setbacks we want to talk about and share with you. But like I said, we want to get into that pop talk first.
Yeah, man.
I'm delaying it, so let's get into it.
Let's take a quick TV timeout.
All right.
And then we'll come back with some pop talk.
All right. We'll do it like that on the ones and the twos and the threes. Live and Rock, Rockin' Live on episode 14.
Let's ride with the family down the street through the courtesy of Fred and Pete. When you're with the Flintstones, have a yabba dabba do time, a dabba do time. We'll have a
Yeah.
Yes, we are back from that TV timeout, which is something that I could say I'm kind of feeling right now, a timeout for TV, even though I don't watch TV anymore, but everything is, online TV.
That's true,
the Netflix, the YouTube, the Hulu, the all these other stuff, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, timeout.
Well, since you mentioned Netflix, one of the things I'm feeling right now in terms of pop culture and entertainment, did you check out the new Aziz Ansari series on Netflix, exclusive to Netflix?
I did.
Master of None.
But yeah, of course, I checked out Master of None because I like Aziz Ansari.
Yeah.
But I gotta tell you, what's right up at the top of my mind right now is this girl who got a piece of failure, as in a piece of kick in her head, which is the UFC
Ronda Rousey or whatever how you're pronouncing it.
Yeah.
Yo,
we're gonna get back to Master of None, but
yes, please do.
This thought just came into my head because man, talk about failure, boy.
But guy, honestly, since when do you watch UFC?
I don't.
Okay.
I'm not a UFC fan, but it was inescapable. The news about this girl getting her piece of kick in her head, guy.
Guy, man, you make it sound so ghetto. Like it was like a beat down, like behind the alley or behind the bleachers at school. Like she just got jumped. But no, I never watched. No,
you didn't see the clip?
I don't follow UFC at all. I know who Ronda Rousey is, obviously, and I heard, I guess maybe it's been about a week now or just somewhere around there when I heard that it happened. Okay. But I never really saw anything or watched anything.
Okay, if you see the kick that she took in her head, then you would understand why I'm going on the way I'm going on.
Okay.
Because I don't know, like I said, I don't follow UFC too much, but from what I understand, she's been like,
she's like the top of the mountain. Like she is the woman to beat.
Yeah, and what a lot of people were saying was that, she was just a little bit cocky going into the fight.
Okay.
Like saying, I'm going to take this and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So when you're going on with those big talks, and then next thing you know,
you're at
this kind of unknown fighter, complete underdog, then you just have to be like, yo.
Well, honestly, it goes to show that anything can happen any day. Like, there's no title, there's no corporation, there is no career that is beyond failure. Like, no matter how high or you get up in the game, you can be taken down at any minute. Like, there's so many examples from freaking Tyson to Spice Girls. Like any era you look in arts and entertainment, like there's no one that remains on top forever.
That's true.
Your day in the sun, what they call your 15 minutes of fame, is just 15 minutes of fame. Like, you look back on a lifetime. Like,
it's true. I can't lie.
And what was I gonna say? Speaking of fighters that have failures and you have to get through them, and this wasn't even on my list of things that I'm feeling, but Apollo Creed, that movie's coming out.
Oh,
and that's all about. That started from Rocky, which was that was a failure in both levels. Like the actual content of Rocky, the original, is about the underdog, pushing through Rocky himself. But even just getting that movie made, Sylvester Stallone, his whole career. Look how long this guy has been in show business. But it started by him fighting through the failure of trying to get Rocky made in the first place, because no one wanted to make the movie. No one certainly wanted to make him the star of the movie. He had to fight for that.
That's very true. Very, very true. I can't wrong you on that.
And here we are, like 20 some odd years later, and he's still putting out movies in that series. Not to mention everything else he's done.
And just for the record, people, I'm actually showing Shell Rock this kick that Ronda took, so he can see it for himself.
Show it to me.
Quick look.
Show it to me live while we're on the air. You can get my immediate reaction.
Watch.
Guy. It's so. These are people watching it.
Yeah.
I can see how they react like that, because it's like Guys, no one's expecting her of all people.
Yeah, man.
It's the whole David and Goliath. Like, no one's expecting this unknown out of nowhere to come and take the crown.
Yeah, it's true. But yeah, so enough about that. But yeah, Sylvester Stallone, the story of his career, paralleling the story of Rocky, and now we've talked about Stallone so many times, but yeah, it's interesting that he's now still finding another angle to bring back the whole Rocky
Creed franchise.
Which I'm actually looking forward to this movie. I think is going to be a nice new breath of life. I'm
interested to check it out. I'm kind of interested, but on the merit of just the trailers itself, I mean, I don't know. I'm not excited about it, but I'm interested just because it's Rocky. I'm just kind of interested to see if they did a good job, if it was an actual decent movie.
Well, I mean, I've never been really disappointed by a Rocky movie. You know what I mean? Like, obviously some were better than others, but I've never walked out being like, oh, that was a waste of my time. Yeah. I'm
a fan of the main actor. What's his name there? I can't remember his name now, but the guy who's playing
Fruitvale Station.
What?
He was the same guy
on what station?
Fruitvale Station.
I've never
Oscar-nominated movie.
I've never heard of that, yo.
Good God.
I know him, period, from Friday Night Lights and the
Friday Night Lights
and Chronicle.
I didn't know he was.
And then he was the guy that just played. Are you serious?
Yeah,
he was Johnny Storm in the Fantastic Four.
Okay, I never watched
Black
that.
Johnny Storm.
Okay, so I guess this guy is doing his thing.
Yeah. He's been getting up there, man, getting a lot of props, and that's why he probably got cast for Creed.
Okay,
but yeah. But speaking of superheroes, we're supposed to get back to that Masters of None, but since I brought up superheroes, I'm also what I'm actually feeling is that new Captain America 3. Have you seen that? They've been killing that out.
No, I haven't seen.
You haven't seen the trailer?
I watched the trailer.
Okay.
I think I have a intrinsic bias that I'm just not a Captain America fan.
Well, I'm not a Captain America fan at all, period. At all. Like, I don't even know why people love him so much. Me personally, I'm just not into him.
Yeah.
But the actual movie and the storyline is what I'm excited about.
I mean, I thought it was interesting that they actually brought Iron Man into it. But that's the only thing that intrigues me.
I can show you. Okay, the reason why because I know, like, so the storyline or Civil War is the name of Captain America 3. And it comes from an actual storyline in the comics from years back. Which basically splits the whole Marvel universe, all the heroes against each other.
Okay.
So some of them are on Iron Man's side, some of them are on Captain America's side, and basically they want to do registration. They think all superheroes should register with the government and that kind of thing. So that's why I'm excited about it, because it's a whole long saga that was done in the comics.
Okay.
What they call a event many years ago, and I have the comic. I can show it to you here actually.
Wow. Okay.
But the most exciting thing is that Spider-Man is going to be in it. And Spider-Man is like the main central character of the event, where he's like the main character that he's kind of on both sides. And the whole thing is like, where's Spider-Man going to end up in the end of all of this? Whose side is he going to be on?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's intriguing.
Yeah.
I didn't know the story was like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can say touche.
Look into it
that sounds
later on.
Yeah, so there's that, and then Master of None.
Yeah.
Which is like, I want to give 3 cheers to Mr. Aziz Ansari, because I think he deserves it.
You know what? Honestly, I'm in 150,000 agreement with you. True. Honestly, even though I'm in agreement with you, I have to say, for those who haven't watched it, first of all, should we even give a quick synopsis? It's kind of hard to
give a synopsis of it, but I mean, what I could say that's really cool about it is that it's a full season, right, and the season has a full arc,
yes,
right. So it's like, you can watch the season like it's a movie, kind of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it has a really cool follow through from one episode to the next.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing for me is that I have no idea what he would do for a season 2 because it was so like.
Well, that's just the thing.
Concluded.
It's so quirky. Quirky. That's the thing I was going to start off by saying. Like, I end up loving the show, right? But the show starts off so quirky that literally, like, the first episode, I was like, what the heck? Like, I was going to turn it off. I was like, this is just. It's just so weird. Like, it has its own unique language, film language, its own unique tone, somewhere in between comedy and drama, but not just like any comedy, but it's like really offbeat, quirky, independent comedy with the same kind of offbeat, quirky, not really very independent, stylized drama. So it's just like, I don't know, like some of it even comes off looking like cheesy, like someone just did it in their basement. Like, to a certain degree, like the fact that his parents, his actual real life parents, for instance, are playing his parents in the show.
I was wondering about that.
And they're not real actors.
Is that really his parents?
Yeah, this is real parents.
Wow, that's amazing. I didn't realize that. I had wondered that, but I didn't know for sure. I also kind of thought it was just cool the way he just addresses things from a different perspective. Like you say, it's a bit quirky and offbeat, but it's refreshing because there's nobody doing it really from his perspective. And I think that's the mark of a true or great artist, is that they're able to express their unique perspective.
I'm just trying to, while you were talking, I'm just trying to pull up the synopsis of the season or the show. So it's called Master of None on Netflix. Yeah. The only description it has here is, so a New Yorker dev takes on such pillars of maturity as the first big job, a serious relationship, and busting sex offenders on the subway. Yeah. And that's the description.
Yeah. Doesn't do it justice.
None whatsoever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the kind of show you.
What is going on? What is going on?
Hey.
Yeah. Sorry, my bad. Technical difficulties. Go on. But that's a sign that we're running overtime on our pop talk.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah.
That's all right, because I'm looking forward to get into our feature conversation about facing failure, dealing with disappointment creatively.
And that's part of the reason why I wanted to, even though I wanted to talk about Masters of None, because even though it's what I'm feeling, is also, to me, it kind of taps into the subject of dealing with failure, because it's kind of, to a certain degree, controversial. Like, it's just brand new for him. It just came out. And people are on
the fence.
It's polarizing opinions. Like, some people are just like, it's like they hate it.
Oh, really?
Right? Yeah. And some, like, I was listening to the reviews on the radio, on CBC radio, and on the show Q, and they were just talking about it. And they were like pretty much just like poo-pooing on it. Like, they were like, like, they were not fans at all. These are
what criticism did they have?
The humor.
Okay.
They thought the humor was not, like, it was not solid at all. Like, it was very, like...
I mean, if they're looking for it as a comedy show, then no, it's not.
Yes.
Right? It's definitely more of a drama than a comedy.
Right.
Right? And I think that's really cool for him to be able to do it, because, like I say, the story is a really well-told story.
Yes.
And he addresses things from a unique perspective.
Very unique perspective.
Yeah.
It has a very, very independent perspective, like ridiculously independent perspective.
Yeah.
But if you get through the first episode, and maybe even the second, it's a good payoff. The second episode, though, is kind of telling to this whole topic, because the second episode is the episode that turned it around for me, that touched my heart, but it's also one of the episodes that highlights what they hate about it. It's his parents are in that episode. That's the episode about parents, and his parents are in it. They're not actors. They're clearly not actors. And again, it's one of those things, either hit or miss. Some people just hate it. The critics, from what I heard on the radio, like, they hate it.
Yeah.
But I actually found it very endearing. His dad reminded me so much of our dad. Like,
really?
Yeah.
For me, I just thought that it was nice to see the perspective of somebody who is visible minority.
Yeah.
And who's had, you know, significant success, and how he talks about it from that perspective.
Yeah.
You know, and the types of situations and relationships that he has to manage with his journey.
Yeah, and he talks about the whole how Indians are portrayed in entertainment, TV, and all that.
Yeah, that was a really cool thing that he did, and I'm just feeling his Master of None.
Yeah,
and I like how he touches on certain subjects where you could feel a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But it's just
the way
like
he does it. Yeah. For sure. For sure. 2 thumbs up from me, from Shell Rock.
Yeah.
And you said something a little while ago, besides Master of None, I want to squeeze one more in there. I know. We're going so long, and we usually don't go this long, but it's so poignant to, again, what you just said about Aziz Ansari, how he's someone who's somewhat successful, but he still pushed the bar and did this whole Master of None thing. And it's amazing how it could be so somewhat polarizing and controversial. To that same point, someone who just recently announced something, another person who's been around for a while, Mr. Phil Collins. I heard them talking about on the same episode of Q how this right now Mr. Phil Collins has announced he's coming out of retirement. I don't know if you've heard about this.
I have not heard about this.
So apparently Phil Collins has been in retirement. I'm putting air quotes as I say this because to me, I it's news to me.
Yeah.
But, and he announced he's coming out of retirement, and the whole internet is abuzz and going crazy that they basically, again, polarized. Half the people are just like, we hate Phil Collins. He is just like, pop music is better off without him, basically. Wow. And there's a petition online for people to sign for him.
Are you
not
serious?
Yes.
Wow.
This is what I'm hearing on.
That's interesting.
For him not. Actually, I have it right here. What am I talking about? Here's one of the articles. But yeah. And then they were talking about people who are now coming to his defense. So I just wanted to squeeze it in there because for me, Phil Collins is A-okay with me.
Yeah,
like, I'm a fan from day one. Like, he gets my vote officially. At least half of Live and Rock is like, Phil Collins, bring it on. You know?
Yeah, that's 2 thumbs up in that case because I can't say anything bad about him. You know what I mean? He's come up with some amazing music, and he's been proving himself for decades.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Like,
what reason would there be to say no? Don't come out of retirement. He has tons of fans all over the world.
But to that point, part of the reason why he was in retirement, with air quotes, is because of the same thing. He was actually getting this flack like 10 or 15 years ago when he did officially go in retirement. Okay. Part of the reason he did it was because he was just tired of the stress and the flack that he was getting about his music. What? This is I'm just relaying third party what they were saying on this episode of Q, the talk show. So that's why I'm bringing it up as we're talking about dealing with failure as a creative artist, no matter where you are on the totem pole of success. How do you deal with it? One of the ways Mr. Phil Collins did was going into retirement. But now
I think we may revisit a little bit about this in our feature conversation.
Yes, we will. True.
In the meantime, we've been going quite over in this pop talk section. So I think we should take a quick time out to do our suit up.
We're gonna get into the suit up section right about now. We'll play the segment music, and we'll get into our suit up section. For those who do not know, though, before we get into it, we're about to get into giving you the tips and tools for you on your mission to become the next person that we're talking about in Pop Talk.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right.
All right, so we're going to get into it right now. This is what we call the Suit Up section on Live on Rock, episode 14, doing it up like this.
Suit up! Suit up! Suit up! You suited up! Snow suit up! Flight suit up! Penguin suited up! Suit up! You suited up! Birthday suited up! Slut up! Suit up! Suit up! Suited up! Suit up! Suit up! Space suit up!
Suiting up!
It's only been 4 weeks since we recorded, but we're definitely rusty.
That's clear.
Missing our cues and everything.
Yeah, it's not only the time, but we're going to get into part of the things that we're facing as well that has some impact on the performance today. But
That's right. That's actually part of why that we got the subject of dealing with failure. But in the meantime, we do have some good stuff. I mean, I have some stuff I want to talk about for sure and share with everybody for their suit up. But how about I'll let you go first?
Well, you know, there's a lot of things that I look at for inspiration, and something that a lot of people, I guess, don't realize is that there are places you can find out about famous failures.
True.
And there's a YouTube video that's actually called Famous Failures. So if you just type in that on YouTube, you're going to find a bunch of videos, but one in particular with that title, it just goes over some of the really incredible things that famous people have conquered, such as Michael Jordan.
I was just about to say, give me an example of a couple that are in it.
Some people don't know Michael Jordan, was cut from his high school basketball team.
Yo, that's common knowledge, man. Unless you've been living under a rock for the last 20 years. Okay, maybe you're right. Maybe some of the younger listeners.
All right.
Know. So expand on it again. Say it again. Michael Jordan
was cut from his high school basketball team.
Right.
One that Shell Rock was not aware of is a writer who was his first book was rejected by 27 publishers, actually became the #1 best-selling children's author of all time. And who is it? Dr. Zeus. Yeah. And I
still can't believe that. All time. Yeah. Because, I mean, like, even I guess J.K. Rowling is not considered a children's author, but still.
Yeah, she was rejected by a ton of publishers as well.
That's true.
Another great example who was turned down saying they had no future in show business.
Yeah.
And who were they? The Beatles.
True. Yeah. When you hear these things, though, it makes you laugh because it's like, it's easy for us in hindsight to be like, that's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's a good one. I like that. I like that as a, like, for the suit up section. I mean, it's motivating, especially if you're going through a period of like a setback of your own, and you're dealing with failure on the creative front. That's a good video.
And I don't want to give all of them away.
Yeah.
So when you watch the video, just type in Famous Failures on YouTube, and you'll see a few different videos with those.
Wicked. I'm going to add on to the motivational type of suit up material that you just recommended and give you guys one or two quick practical ones. And these ones are really for people who are artists out there. If you're an artist and you do like visual arts, like illustrating, graphic design, or anything like that, and this is not something this is not new. A lot of people probably know about it, but I want to recommend two sites. One is Etsy.com, ETSY. Yeah. Another one is Society6.com. Society6. Okay. And I'm recommending both of these, even though they're probably common knowledge to a lot of illustrators or a lot of artists out there. Okay. Maybe there might be some like me who aren't.
Okay.
And part of the reason why we're going through this episode is because I've been dealing with some setbacks and failures that have forced me to focus on making money, try to sell my wares. And out of that need, I came across both Society6 and Etsy.com.
Okay.
And both of them are really great. But they have some major differences I would point out. So Society6 is awesome in the sense that you can get all your artwork uploaded on the site very easy. Both sites are extremely easy and user-friendly. But with Society6, you don't have to put up no money up front. You don't print your products at all. Okay. So when people order your products on there, Society6 themselves prints it out and ships it to customers. Society6 has a wide range of products. So once you put up your artwork, for instance, I have my inspirations on there, which are motivational comic posters.
Okay.
And once I put the image up there, they can apply those images onto throw pillows.
Multiple products.
I have throw pillows up here. I have coffee mugs up here. I have framed art up here. I have tote bags. I have laptop cases, hard shell cases, featuring my inspiration motivational art.
Wow.
And
how do you get one of those?
You go to Society 6 and you put in your and you order if you look up inspiration on society6.com, you'll see my whole catalog. It wasn't really about plugging my catalog, but I mean, inspiration, Inspiration on Society 6, and you'll see all of that.
I gotta say, they're looking sweet.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah,
the sweet part of it. Go ahead. Yeah,
I'm saying I could feel one of those laptop cases.
Okay.
Yeah,
and there you go. That's my point. That's why I'm recommending it, because it's like, it's so gratifying to see your work put up on other products, and it's done so quickly and easily.
Yeah,
that I fell in love with it as soon as I did it.
Okay. Yeah,
but as in everything, there's pros and cons. So the con about Society 6 is that it turns out that their prices are a lot more expensive than Etsy.
Okay, so when you sell a product...
when you sell a product, the problem for me is that the price point is... I find it to be extremely high.
Okay.
So the price that... even just for a print, for me to sell on there, it's so high that I think it's affecting the ability to even make sales, because the value to the customer ends up being so much more. And I think it's partly because they're in control. They're printing everything and shipping everything, right?
Okay.
So that brought me to Etsy.com, and this is the last thing on our whole suit up section.
Okay.
Etsy.com is similar in the sense that it's a site set up for you as an artist, digital artist, artists of whatever kind. You can upload your artwork, and again, I have an inspiration. It's called For Inspiration on Etsy. Yeah, and it's extremely user friendly, just as user friendly as Society 6. The major difference is all the sales, the orders, they come to you.
Right.
So the customer pays on there like Society, but then order comes to you. You have to print out your product, your art prints, and ship it to your customers on your dime, on your time, and through whatever print shop that you use.
Right.
But although it's done that way, for me, for instance, personally, it becomes way more affordable for my customers, because based on what it costs me to ship and what it costs me using my local printer, I can keep my price point down to what it should be, what I think is fair. So, for instance, my inspirational posters, an 8.5 by 10, I sell it on Etsy for $10. Whereas on Society 6, it would cost you, I think, around $30. It costs $15 plus shipping on Etsy for you to get it through. Not Etsy, sorry, Society 6.
Society 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, I mean, Etsy, I definitely have heard of, and I like Etsy because they also have other types of products. So basically, whatever it is that you create, you can
put it up.
Sell it.
That's
through
another
Etsy.
pro. That's right. Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, I've seen people with some
jewelry,
crafts.
Knits, handmade knits, like NA knits.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
good stuff.
Yeah. So check them out, both Society 6 and check out For Inspiration or Inspirations on Etsy.com. I actually sold products right away, like my first week. I haven't sold a lot, but I've sold products, so I'm excited about that.
And was that through your own personal promotion, or was that just people found it through Etsy?
Personal promotion.
Okay.
Like all my sales are random people who I don't know.
Okay.
But I had to promote it, to try and get those sales.
That's cool.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
So again,
sorry, how did you promote, if I may ask?
Facebook, Twitter, and just users themselves on Etsy, because it has its own community, right?
Okay.
Right? So setting up sales on there. And a good thing about Etsy, you can create coupon codes. Discounts. So right now I have a coupon code going. Anything you buy, if you buy more than 2, you can get it for 25%. If you buy two or more, and I have a coupon code that's just built in right on the site. If you go on my Etsy.com site, I have the promotion right there in the description of the art prints. If you buy 2, put in the code, and you can get 25% off.
That's good.
Yeah. So that's about it. I think it's about time we get into our main feature conversation.
Yeah.
Which is, again, why I'm even talking about Etsy is because I've been dealing with some creative failures that's forced me to deal with Etsy right now. And I want to get into the details of why that's happened and about how to deal with those failures. So, yeah.
I think that's a good thing. I think it's a good thing for us to do.
All right. So without further ado, we're getting into our feature conversation on episode 14 of Live and Rock. All right, yo. We are
time.
Officially in our feature conversation.
Officially.
We should be happy.
Yeah,
we should be overjoyed.
Yeah, we are now about to face failure.
Head on.
And deal with disappointment.
Yes.
Creative disappointment.
In a very real way.
Yeah. So this is where the surprises, I guess, are going to come from, because we don't yet know exactly how this is going to end up. Mm-hmm. But here's my prediction.
Okay.
My prediction is this is going to end up being just a really horrible episode.
What?
Or...
Okay, go on.
Is probably more likely going to end up being one of our most engaging episodes, because for me, I feel like I'm a horrible failure.
Wow. Why are you so rough on yourself, yo?
Which means I'm horrible at failing.
Dry. That could be taken two ways.
Exactly, and it's so blasted true.
This guy. Well, yeah. I mean, I feel like you're kind of failing at explaining how much of a failure you are or are not.
Yeah.
Because right now it's sort of still kind of up in the air. I'm not 100% sure if you really are.
Yeah. So
are you dealing with any kind of failure right now?
Yeah.
So for disappointment.
So for all of you guys who are facing failure right now, who are having some creative blocks and challenges and disappointments, first thing I'll just say is you're definitely not alone.
That's right.
Because I am right there with you at this moment. I've been facing some major challenges lately.
So can I interject here now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Please do.
So I want to get very specific. When we talked about throwing this episode, I had two very specific things in mind.
Yeah.
That I wanted to use us, Live and Rock, your friendly neighborhood host of Live and Rock.
Yeah.
We were going to use us as real life examples, case studies, if this was class for our listeners. So in your life, you started something recently called the what is it called again?
Road to Life. Yes.
1,000 hours.
1 year,
1,000 hours. Okay.
Yeah.
And that is a journey and a project that you started earlier in the fall. That is something that you've been dealing with a little bit of a setback in. And I wanted us to talk about that very specifically in this episode of dealing with failure and how you're approaching it. And, you know, how has it differed from other failures in the past in terms of how you're dealing with it? And what lessons can I take from it? Because I myself am going through a specific setback / failure in dealing with my brand new writing property, which is the Super Years, which I've discussed as well on the show on the previous episodes and have been quite excited about at various, to get launched off and telling everybody about the blog, which I should have been having up and running right now.
Right.
But life has gotten in the way. And both of these things, we kind of touched it in the last episode with Frederick Lamone when I pushed you to talk about it at the end of the show.
You did.
Right? Yeah. But now today I want to get in the nitty gritty. You know?
So to give you a clear and honest update report on the road to life, is that I've suffered a major injury on the way, in that I was going well, determined to do every week, post my video,
And what would the video be?
Rain,
Just
sleet, or
for
snow.
those who don't know, brand new listeners.
The videos are about 3 minutes long. They showcase a piece that I've written, performing a either verse or a poem that I've written, and just giving people a quick little update as to how the journey is going.
And the goal was for the project, or is for the project.
And the goal is 1,000 hours of practice writing, producing, or performing in 1 year.
Okay.
So that started September 2nd, which is my birthday.
Yeah.
So we are now coming up to December 2nd, which would be 3 months.
Yes.
Right. And to hit that 1,000 hours, I should be doing an average of about, call it 90 hours per month.
Okay. Wow. Sounds like a lot when you say it, bro.
So where I am right now, I'm currently looking at my report. I'm at approximately 101 hours after
For
3 months.
So you're roughly 2 months behind mathematically.
Mathematically speaking, yes.
Wow.
So that's pretty rough. It's pretty rough.
Yeah.
And I haven't posted a video for probably close to a month or so.
Okay.
So go ahead.
So what are the setbacks, or if you can touch on just specifically one or two the major reasons why, if you feel comfortable talking about it?
Yeah, I have no problem talking about it.
Okay. What is the major obstacles to you staying on task or meeting the goal?
There's a bunch, or I shouldn't say a bunch. There's a few.
But just give us the top two.
Yeah, the number one reason is that I am a perfectionist, and I don't like putting out unpolished stuff.
Okay.
So I haven't been feeling my own stuff lately.
Okay.
So I'm writing, and I'm still writing the same things the same songs that I was working on when I started.
Yeah.
I'm still working on them.
Okay.
And I'm not happy.
And you're
with
not happy with them.
So
the dreaded artist being their worst critic is the number one obstacle so far.
In a sense, yes. But it's also just the fact that it's just I'm not writing anything that I'm feeling. Like I shouldn't say that. So I'm working on the same stuff.
Yes.
But so I've come up with maybe 4 lines, 8 lines here.
Yes.
Possibly even a full verse.
Yeah.
But I haven't completed anything.
Okay.
And what I have that I like.
Yes.
But it's just not in a place where I want to present it.
Okay.
And even though the road to life is supposed to be
that journey, and giving people that insight to the before and the after.
Yeah.
Right. Before it's polished.
Yeah. The other side of the coin is the video aspect of the journey.
Yeah.
Is that I just feel like I don't have a place to shoot it.
Oh, so that's the more practical side of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the practical obstacle.
Yeah. So I feel like if I had something I was really excited about sharing, I would be more determined to find a place to shoot.
Okay.
But those are the two biggest things.
As you're talking, so part of the reason, one of the things I wanted to get out of this episode, just for us specifically as the host, is for us to get help or advice from each other live on the air.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So, or feedback.
Right.
So as you're talking and you're telling me what your obstacles are, and I want to get into the ways you're actually personally dealing with it as an artist and what you think works for you in terms of dealing with the disappointment.
Yeah.
But I'm giving you some feedback right now from what I hear.
I would love to, because I know you've had a similar journey before.
Yes. So what I find as one of my coping things to deal with failure or disappointment on a creative project is just changing focus onto something else, putting the energy into something else. So, for instance, for you, I'm hearing you say that you're being a perfectionist and you're not liking what you're writing, and you've been working on the same thing for so long, and it's like you're beating a dead horse.
Yeah.
So why not just try and write something completely different? Go in a completely different genre, or for that matter, just go into something completely different altogether. Like maybe don't focus on the writing songs. Maybe I don't know. I don't know what you can think of, but I'm just spitting live on the air. But like for me, I'm just gonna bring myself into it as an example now. So for me, I was supposed to be focusing on the writing, the blog, since September, and my setbacks have been more practical, less to do with creative blocks or anything like that. It's just more life. Right? So I've gone through some major life situations that have forced me in the last 4 to 6 weeks to focus on getting the finances in order. Like without giving details, money is tight. So that's my one major obstacle. The second major obstacle is the illustrators and getting the images for my blog. The process by which I thought I was going to be able to use hasn't panned out. So I was going to be using different illustrators that I know, independent artists, and get them to give me, images for each of my blog entries. And I did the first wave about a good 5-6 weeks ago. Sent out the initial blogs and to the first wave of artists, about 3 of them. And they were supposed to get back to me with images. And they took, to this date, I've only gotten 1 image back from 1 artist. Right? 6 weeks later. And part of the reason is because I haven't been able to follow up because I've been busy with the real life thing that's come in the way. And that would obviously affect them getting back to me, but the reality is, at that pace, I'm not going to be able to keep up with a blog. Right? So that being said, my whole point of saying this is that I got the setback. That's the bottom line. I've been set back. And part of the way me dealing with it is deciding to shift focus to specifically the inspirations. Because those allow me to get to address one issue, which is the money. Right? But also focusing on what's working. So for me, it's Live and Rock, the podcast. It's the one thing out of all the creative things I'm doing that seems to be getting some kind of traction. It's still not, obviously, I'm not, Live and Rock is not all over national airways right now, but it's getting some success. So I'm trying to pinpoint and focus on that for now. Right? And I find that it's energizing me. Knowing that at least this thing is moving. You know what I mean?
It's something that is actually growing, and you can see progress. Where we can count that we're at episode 14.
Exactly.
I can agree with that, because without Live and Rock, something I've never really mentioned much is really what's going on with CDH Live Productions. But creatively speaking, getting my creative energy going Live and Rock has been extremely energizing for me. And there are points where I think to myself, maybe I should just put more creative energy on that as opposed to trying to, write new material or produce new material. And so when I think about the 1,000 hours, sometimes I want to cheat and say I've been writing and producing Live and Rock episodes. That should count. But I know that's not really what the purpose was. So I think there is something to be said about kind of looking at what you can do or what you do have. And the thing with yours, I'm kind of thinking about is, I mean, the illustrations would be awesome. But is there another way to get visuals? Like, would it be okay to have one visual represent the entire blog post if you're not able to get original illustrations? Because the concept sounds very solid, and there's all kinds of different ways to represent the concept visually.
Right. I mean, you're right. Like, I mean, again, necessity is the mother of invention. So because now I've gone through the process of trying to get illustrators. And again, just to clarify, the illustrators that I was getting, they were doing exactly what you said. The plan was to do exactly what you said. Just one image per blog post from one illustrator. And I thought, practically speaking, in my head, I thought it seems very simple. If I'm putting it out there to 3 or 4 different illustrators I'm working with, at least one of them will be able to give me an image for each post in a timely, a timely manner per week, right? But through the actual process, it hasn't turned out like that so far.
Yeah.
Right? I've thought of since then, in the back of mind, when I do go back to it, I'm thinking maybe, okay, I maybe have to just abandon the whole idea of comic style illustrations and just look for random images that represent that particular blog post, just like a lot of blogs do anyways, you know?
Right.
But that being said, for me, the whole thing is that in the meantime, I have to deal with the disappointment.
Yeah.
And that's what this episode is really about.
That's true.
There's no question that eventually I'm going to get back to it, the super years.
Yeah.
I love the super years concept. I'm dying to get the super years out there. I know it's a good concept because I workshopped it at school in my writing class.
Yeah.
Everybody in the writing class loves it. It's they love the concept.
Right.
And the feedback is really good. And everyone I tell them it's good. I hate being known as the Operation Dream Girl writer.
Wow.
I don't mean it in that, like, I hate it. I mean, I'm just in the sense that sort of like, you know, when an actor gets typed, they get a breakout role and then they never get known for anything else. That's what I mean. Like,
I hear you.
I'm tired of being known as just the Operation Dream Girl guy. I have so much more and better material that I want to get out there.
Right. Yeah. I can definitely relate to that. Because I feel the same way with some of, interestingly enough, I've been in certain circles. I feel like I'm more well known as a poet.
Okay.
And I guess I am sick of being known as a poet.
yeah.
And I want to get the music to be the thing that I'm
people
known
know
for.
Yeah.
But I guess, you know, as we were preparing for this episode, a few things that came out were, and I'm glad you mentioned it just now, is the fact is that in the meantime you're dealing with the disappointment
and the failure,
or facing the failure. And I mean, there's countless things that we could go, but one thing that came out to me was, you know, how do you actually define failure?
True. Yeah.
Right. And, sometimes it's like you want to just take a moment, whether it be a literal moment or a month, to actually just absorb and soak in the disappointment.
Yo, that's exactly what I was gonna say. No, it's real talk. I was about to say, like, that was at the top. I have 3 things here on my list of things of that practical things that we can tell our listeners to, you know, use to deal with disappointment. At the top of my 3 list is time, because they say time heals all wounds, and the reality is, sometimes you just need that time, which is what you're saying. Like, you just need that time to just step away. Don't even think about, you know, the thing that you're trying to pursue or that you failed on, and just do whatever else you need to do in life to just take you got to let the wound, because sometimes the wound is deep.
Yeah, sometimes it can be
very deep.
Yeah.
Like, I think back to years back when I did, when we tried to do Hero Fix back in the days, the listeners don't know what it is, but I tried to start a company about 10 years ago, a publishing company, with comics and that kind of thing. And the wound was so deep because we invested. I invested money out of my home. I had friends and family involved at a very high level. And we lost everything. And the wound was so deep that all I could do, I had to take time to just heal. You know, do other things and not even think about art or business for a while.
Which is kind of bringing me to think back again on our, you know, references before, famous failures. We mentioned the video in our Suit Up section, but I actually found a slew of examples, and so if you type that in, even in Google, famous failures, you'll find tons of stuff. I have one in front of me, a list, 50 famously successful people who failed at first.
Right.
You know, regardless of
Stallone should be on that list. Well, yeah.
But yeah, regardless of what field you're in, like at the top of this list here, I have Henry Ford, right? While Ford is known today as an innovative assembly line creator and American-made cars, in fact, his early businesses failed and left him broke 5 times before he founded the Ford Motor Company.
Yeah.
We think of, celebrities sometimes, but it's also companies.
That's true.
We can look at people in all different fields, writers. I want to bring up Charles Schultz.
Steven Spielberg. What the heck?
So, for example...
Charles Schultz, Peanuts, what?
Yeah, so, the creator of Peanuts, who we know their movie is coming out soon.
Yes, it's out. I still haven't seen
sorry.
it. I should have seen it by now, but I haven't seen it. Go on, yeah.
He had every cartoon he submitted rejected by his high school yearbook staff.
Are you serious?
Even after high school, Schultz didn't have it easy, applying and being rejected for a position working with Walt Disney.
What? Wow.
Another great example, a lot of our favorite, most well-known comedians were rejected by Saturday Night Live, such as Kevin Hart, Jim Carrey. These are comedians who tried out for Saturday Night Live and were rejected.
Wow.
And now they're bigger than Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
So there's definitely tons and tons of examples that we could go through. And that is one thing that can be used, is just recognizing, finding out, what types of failures other successful people have faced, and realizing that failure is really hard to isolate into one specific thing.
Right.
It could mean that thing at that time failed.
Yes.
But you can learn from it, and you can take those lessons into something completely different, like you said.
Yeah.
Or you can take it into your next attempt. And in other words, as Les Brown says, failure is not final.
Right. Something you said there just resonated with me in terms of, like, you originally started talking about the definition of failure. So it's like, yeah, you're right. We talked about Phil Collins at the beginning in the pop talk section.
Yeah.
No one would consider him, by commercial success and by money in the pocket and by fame.
Yeah.
No one would say he's a failure.
Yeah.
But at that time, however long ago it was, whether it was a decade ago or somewhere around there, when he went into retirement,
right.
At least part of that decision was egged on by a sense of failure to a certain degree,
right.
in terms of how he was being perceived and received by, the masses, or the critics, at least, even, those who were not a fan of him. And that actually touches on both things. The fact of, no matter where you are, failure can happen depending on how you're defining it. But one of the steps to deal with it is time. Just taking the time to go away, as he has done.
Right.
And us as listeners, or our listeners, and us as creatives who are pursuing our own thing, can take the lesson from that as well, of just taking the time to find sources of motivation, as you also just said, by looking at other examples. So by seeking out sources of motivation, like by going on the, what did you call this? Famous failures. Famous failures video.
Yeah.
Surrounding yourself with books, like taking out books to help motivate you.
Yeah.
Looking for, that's how I created the inspirations, actually. The story behind the inspirations was dealing with my minor failure of when I first went out to promote my books at Comic-Cons, and I wasn't selling, or I wasn't getting people to come look at my booth. I created the motivational posters for that very thing. The very first one I did was Potential with the Incredible Hulk. And we all know, what does it go? Inside my deepest pain, there are seeds to unleash my greatest power. And to me, it was very poignant at the time, because the images of Bruce Banner, who is the scientist who is the most miserable man on earth, because he hates the fact that he has this sickness, quote unquote, of the Incredible Hulk in him. But at the same time, you have the image of the Hulk behind him, which basically showcases the fact that at the end of the day, the Hulk is also his greatest blessing, his greatest you know what I mean?
Yeah. And as you're going through that, I'm just thinking to myself, literally, there is no such thing as a success without a failure.
That's true.
If somebody out there can find me a single example of a success that never went through some kind of failure, I would be blown away. I don't know what I would do, but it's just, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Everybody fails. Every company fails. Every venture fails in some way at some
level. In some way, true.
Yeah, you know, Apple is the.
I mean, I won't necessarily say I'm willing to bet my entire life and soul on the fact that there may not be an individual out there in the world who just came up with an idea, executed it right the first time, and it was just off to the races.
Yeah,
but for the most part.
Yeah, basically it's how they deal with the disappointment on the journey. Because if that first disappointment comes and they consider it a failure, then they don't go on. Right?
Yeah.
It's how they deal with that, and it allows them to make adjustments and move forward. And at any level, it doesn't matter how high they've gotten. Doesn't mean, like you said, it doesn't mean that they're above failure.
Yes.
And a great example of that comes to mind is U2. With their, they debuted with the widest release of their brand new album, widest release in history, because
you mean the last
one
into iTunes, the one they released in Apple, yeah,
which was basically 500 million. Nothing ever in history came even close to that. But the backlash was horrible. Not only was the backlash horrible for them doing that, because some people are not fans, but also critically it was just it wasn't a great album.
Okay,
you know what I mean? Fans weren't loving it, critics weren't loving it. So it was just it was forced on people, and for all intents and purposes,
it was a failure.
It was a promotional tool that failed, effort or whatever. They thought they were doing something good, but it failed. Right.
I would really love to be able to, just out of curiosity, be able to just sit down with someone like a Bono who's at that level and just be a fly on the wall and see how they actually deal with failure. That kind of failure. You know what I mean? It's easy for us as independent artists. We kind of know what failure looks like. And, we probably have similar types of responses at the level that we're at, people who are at our level who haven't actually tasted success. But I'm just curious to see how they actually, when no one's around, no cameras, no paparazzi or, fanfare, how someone who is at that level, they already has the millions of dollars and millions of fans, how do they deal with the artistic side of them that feels disappointed of a new release?
It's fascinating too when you mention that, because they're.
By the way, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but we're actually almost out of time, believe it or not, because we went long on the other part, but we'll try and wrap up this part of it, and then
their standard of what failure is completely different. Their standard of failure is what most of us would call an amazing success.
That's true.
And I have examples of that. Eminem, he dropped an album called The Relapse.
Yes, I remember.
Which, for all intents and purposes, was a flop.
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
But it eventually went platinum.
Eventually.
Right? So, and he himself, on his next project, called
he addressed it. I remember he called it.
So, you know what I mean? Their standard is different because of what they've experienced. And I think that is a good point to lead towards is what are your successes to date? Right? So even though this particular thing at this time may have failed, it didn't produce what you wanted it to.
In one aspect. Yes.
How do you reflect on your body of work?
Yes.
And appreciate your successes so far?
Yes.
Right? And draw strength from those for the future.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a good I mean, we have to bring this conversation to a close within the next 4 to 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But that's a good point to kind of bring it down to a close on, in the fact of the initial goal of whatever project or whatever thing that you were going for may not have been accomplished. But outside of that main goal or objective you had, many times there are offshoot benefits that have occurred, silver lining benefits that may not have been originally intended, but there's benefits nonetheless.
Yeah.
Taking an example for a real life example for me, releasing my book Operation Dream Girl was not a commercial success, and it didn't launch me into this great career as an author.
Right.
But the successes I've gained out of it, meaning being able to go out there, become legitimate as an author, and creating another thing, meaning my inspirations out of that need and out of that journey, forcing me to create the inspirations, which did become successful in that they have been monetarily successful for me. They allow me to attend Comic Cons and fund my mission, at least for the last year and a half.
Right.
That has been a success that's come out of it.
Right.
And just the messages that I have on there have encouraged me and helped me to keep going.
Right.
And it's brought me to the place where I'm doing Live and Rock with you. You know what I mean? Like, our failures, not having that success has forced me to look at other things, and it brought me to the place where I sat down with you.
Right.
And, brother to brother, let's do something. And it's just trying, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to me, those are the silver linings you're kind of looking for when you do something. You may not get the main objective.
Right.
Spend time to deal with that failure and that disappointment, but then regroup and and find the good points and see what you can make out of the good that did come out of it.
Right. Yeah. I think you're 100% right. And for me right now, I'm in that space where I'm still looking for when the healing time is going to pass.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm doing my best to appreciate, like you said, Live and Rock and the other things that are working. My production company that's, producing results and getting feedback, unsolicited positive feedback is coming.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely in the place where I think this is going to be a theme that we revisit from time to time. Because it affects every person, every creator. And it's something that we can always, keep finding new strategies and new tools to help us through. Yeah, for sure. Wow, yeah, I like that. I think that's a perfect place to end. Yeah. I guess I have to end the show with one last statement on failure by saying to you, unfortunately, I think you failed in your prediction, this show would be possibly the worst ever. Because personally, I feel like we got a lot of meat out of this. I got a lot of meat out of it. Yeah. And I'm hoping our listeners will definitely think there was a lot of good, rich content, if nothing else at all, motivation to help you through your disappointment you may be facing right now. I'm a horrible failure. So you did well.
Yes.
You found a way to shift the focus, and which reminds me, a shout out to Shifter Magazine, who's
true.
Giving some nice support to Live and Rock. Shifter Magazine is a great resource for seeing what other independents are doing. Their online magazine.
Yes.
And with that being said,
continue to come back to Live and Rock. Live and Rock is your source for all kinds of things to help you with your creative journey, no matter what you're going through. That is what this show is about. That is our motivation for this show, helping other creatives to get to the end of the road. That was why we created the show. Out of our need, we said, let's help others. So continue to come back. Hit us up at Live and Rock. Actually, no. Tweet
at Live and Rock.
I was thinking about the other day very specifically. We want you to tweet us topics that you want to hear about, any questions you have, and also some of the features of the show that you like. What do you like about the show? What don't you like about the show?
That's right.
Just make it interactive. We want to make it as good as can be.
There's a saying that says, if you've never failed, you've never lived. And right here at Live and Rock, what we like to say is,
if you're gonna live,
you might as well rock. Whatever it is.
Make some noise, rock the world before your time runs out. Let them know what you're about and just make some noise, rock the world no matter what your game. Make sure the whole world remembers your name. Make some noise.